Hi, this is DJ T, we're in Berlin and this is my record room. So we are standing here in my working room slash music room, and I want to show you a bit around. This whole wall, that's existing since 10 years now, since I moved from Frankfurt to Berlin. Didn't count, there might be around 5,000 to 8,000 maybe. So when I discovered the first house records, here's the Chicago section, then there was one record, House Nation by the Housemaster Boys and the Root Boy of House. You see it where these covers, where you could directly see that is coming from Chicago. When this record was coming out and I heard that, these raw Chicago beats that I haven't heard before, I was completely blown away. And that was also kind of a blueprint for what would come 2 years later with Acid House. Yeah, I mean, I still love vinyl and I love this collection. I just love looking at it, you know, at this big wall. It's my whole history here, my whole musical socialization through all periods. For some moments it even felt like a curse to have so many vinyl. Like I told before, I had once around 50,000. And as a passionate vinyl lover, you really have a problem to give stuff away. So it was quite tough. It was a process to boil it down to what you see here. So sometimes I was really like, oh my God, I have to force myself now to go through the next 2,000 or 3,000, you know, to be able to sort them out and to give them away, you know. So it's an endless process. It's a kind of a lifetime project.
What's your most collected label?
Going through my wall and asking myself which label I have the most from. It is actually Strictly Rhythm. I'm not saying that because of the compilation. So here you see the Strictly section. And here is the one that I already named in a few media pieces, is UPI, She's a Freak. My second most important label from the early 90s and late 80s was New Groove. Still one of the logos I like the most. And this was a very influential label too. There are still a lot of connoisseurs of that label. You would find them amongst the DJs between 35 and 45.
And would you say similar sounds, similar kind of vibe to Strictly?
20% is comparable, but Strictly was always much more R&B, vocal flavored, and that was more like reduced, minimal, basic stuff. Even some kind of early techno was on that label. Up there you see some stuff, some soundtracks and long players. I could imagine that for the original soundtrack of Star Wars, this is something that people would pay over 100 euros, or maybe far over. Or the original Easy Rider soundtrack, or Shaft, or Roxy Music.
So is there one artist in particular that you have that was like a buy on site? Or?
Yeah, I mean, if I would count everything together with what Curtis Jones, also known as Cashmere and Green Velvet, then it would be probably him. Besides him, probably Carl Crack. I was once coming out this 4 vinyl pack here with, that was his personal choice of tracks from others. So that's a whole Carl Crack section here. It's going here also with yeah, his own productions and stuff from Planet E. The first song that got my attention as a little boy, back in the days, you know, you could only buy music on vinyl. So if you would discover a song on the radio, you would go in a store and buy those 7 inches. So this really cheesy disco song called Yes Sir I Can Boogie was actually, I think, my very first record. By the way, talking about disco, here see some of the very first compilations I ever bought. The Disco Explosion, Disco Power, Disco Laser, High Speed Disco, Disco Mania. One of the disco classics that a lot of people would pull out is I Feel Love by Donna Summer, and it's also one of my most played disco tracks of all times. Most embarrassing could probably be found in the singles here. You wouldn't know that guy. He is a famous German singer. Really cheesy, really cheesy. I think this is something really entertaining to show. It's a 5 vinyl box of R&S, and I bought that that box here in '92. It was a chip with a recording of Renard's voice, and I found it quite amazing that it's still working after 25 years or so. So I press on it.
I invite you to join us on our sonic voyage fast forward into the future. R&S Records 92 on a mission.
It's amazing, huh? Kraftwerk covers were always nice, huh? Like clearness, and I always loved them. Oh, here's the soundtrack section. Star Trek. There's this new label of Seth Troxler and the Martinez brothers, Tuskegee. Started as vinyl only also, but meanwhile you can buy them on Beatport. It was the first one, a really good record. Or I order Burial on vinyl because I just think it's... I just want to have it, exactly. Yeah, something you couldn't separate from the culture of vinyl collecting was the culture of slipmat collecting. Almost all of them I got back in the 90s. This is Relief. Sexmania was kind of New York house sound. Nervous Records was another really influential house record from New York. Do you remember Boy Records? I think it existed also in London. We had a Boy Records in Frankfurt. This was the shop where I bought my first underground dance records in the late 80s. Yeah, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed my record room and this little journey through my musical history. Peace.